Hi, everyone. Welcome to our On a Water Break bonus episode. I'm Nicole. And in this episode of On a Water Break, we're going to sit down with two of our guests and take a deep dive into the experience of what it's like to be scammed online when you're trying to buy guard equipment and what you can do to protect yourself when buying guard equipment on social media.
8 off the mat and go.
Welcome to On a Water Break, podcast where we talk everything marching arts.
Everyone, bring it in. It's time for a water break.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to On a Water Break bonus episode. I just want to let everyone know who we're going to have on the sidelines. But before we do that, go and subscribe, hit the notifications on your favorite listening app, write us a review, and share it with a friend. If you've got a question or a good topic, email us at onawaterbreakpodcast@gmail.com or just find us on social media. You can DM us if you want to be on the show, and we even have a form you can fill out now if you want to be a guest. We love hearing from people on the podcast, so check that out. Our link is in the bio of social media. Let's see who's joining me this week. Christine Reams. How are you?
Hey, Nicole, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I do want to thank you so much for coming on and being part of this bonus episode. I think that you would have a lot of input and thought process behind it. So thank you so much.
Sure, of course. I have just a teeny tiny bit experience with buying and selling of guard equipment. So glad to be here.
Right. Okay. So we've kept them in the bleachers long enough. It's time for them to come down to the sidelines and welcome to the podcast. Please welcome Erica Owens and Rose Crow. Hello to both of you. We are so appreciative to have you on and joining us today. The first thing we're going to do, though, it's time for the 32 count life story. This is a part of the segment of the show where we give you 32 counts and you're going to tell us everything about you from birth to today. We will give you 8 counts off the Met and then you're in. Let's see, Erica, are you free? Are you set to go?
Let's do it. I don't know if it's from birth till now, but I'll try and squeeze it all in.
Okay. All right. So I'll give you 8 counts off the Met and you're in, okay?
Hi, y'all. I'm Erica. I'm just a big guard fan who's been obsessed since high school. Originally from Hanover, Pennsylvania, so shout out to the Southwestern Marching Mustangs. I learned everything from them under Coach Carrie Crumling, who is now retired, Kevin Wrightstone, our drill instructor with Rain, we do the wire, and all of our amazing techs. Thank y'all, because it's really y'all that really inspires me. And now I'm in Maryland and trying to set up a youth program. And that's how I met Rose.
Very good. She understood the assignment, y'all. All right. Rose, same thing, same meter. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
All right, my name is Rose. I'm the mom of 2 kids, 9 and 13, and I've been married for 17 years this week. I'm a color guard and marching band enthusiast. I did color guard growing up, and over the years I've taught at middle school and high school level, and I even started and ran a team at the college that I attended. I took a hiatus while pursuing school and work, but when I moved back to my hometown a few years ago, I became the local guard instructor. I'm going on my 3rd year with the program.
You got it right down to the She's like, let me hurry up and get this in. It always knocks people off a little bit.
I kind of like that. Yeah. I was afraid I'd go over.
Right. And you survived. You are here. All right. So as a guard director, especially in today's market, you look for budget-friendly equipment options. Facebook groups seem like a great place to connect directly with your sellers, often leading to cheaper prices than the brand new. But what happens when the seller isn't genuine? They don't have color guard equipment, and now they have your money. Okay, so what steps do you take next? How can you prevent this from happening to others, and how do you go about getting your money back? So we're going to go ahead and discuss this together because this is the kind of thing that's actually happening right now. So I'm going to just dive into my first question, and I can,
Okay.
Rose, I'll ask this to you. Can you describe how your first encounter with the seller, the advertisement for the equipment went? Like, tell me about your story, the first part of the story, basically.
Yeah, so Erica and I have been working together. Erica's working in a youth program in our community. I'm the high school instructor. So we've been collaborating on various things, and she knew I was in the market to buy some used rifles. So Erica had been searching around and she found what looked like a really great deal, some used rifles. And she had some initial conversations, and Erica, jump in if I'm getting any of this wrong. She had some initial conversations with the seller. It seemed okay. He seemed very knowledgeable about the product. He friended her. And they had this back and forth. And then she mentioned it to me. She's like, oh, I had this really great deal. Do you want to talk to this guy? So she connected me to him, and I just was asking him some questions like, there's a lot of technicalities to purchasing, at least for my band program and probably for many band programs. You have to go through the band boosters, get it approved, make sure the director's on board before you purchase anything. You need an invoice. So I usually front the money on purchases. So I need an invoice so I can get reimbursed. So there's like a whole process that goes into making a purchase. So I had been talking to him on and off. And in the back of my mind, I was like, this guy seems legit, but let me poke around a little bit to see whether or not like I get a weird feeling out of him. So I just did some Facebook stalking, as people do, right? I went to his page. And I noticed the first thing that stood out to me is this guy his face is not shown in his profile picture, and there's no other profile pictures. That's weird. Like, who am I dealing with here? And then I went onto his page. He only had a couple dozen friends, and he didn't have any posts. And the other people that I've purchased stuff off of these Facebook groups before, the other people, they're clearly color guard instructors. They like have it listed in their profile. They have pictures of their teams, and like it's very obvious that they are part of the community. This guy didn't have any of that. So I went back to Erica and I was like, I don't know, Erica, this guy seems a little sketchy. Like, I know he seems nice, but like, there's just some red flags. Yeah. And then Erica was like, well, don't purchase anything. Like, we were going back and forth about how I would get an invoice. And he even said he went so far to make up a band director, and like, Joe was the band director's name, and Joe was going to get me the invoice. I was like, okay. And then Erica was like, well, make sure that when you make a purchase with him, and I think we're going to get into this later, that you go through PayPal goods and services, because at least you can get your money back if you get scammed through something like that. By that point, I was like, it was so obvious to me that this guy was like not legitimate, that we didn't go so far as to give him money. But he really did come across genuinely like part of the community. And after we ended the transaction with him and I told him, sorry, this isn't going to work, like, we're not doing this deal, he posted he was back on the market with these products. And it was all over like all the guard community pages that he was trying to sell these again. And about a week, within like a week, I would say, right, Erica?
Yep.
All these people came forward and they were like, this guy's a total scammer. Like, and he had taken money from a lot of people. Now, Erica, when we decided not to go forward with the transaction, she was like, oh, should we go public with this and say that this guy is a scammer? I was hesitant to do that because I didn't want to falsely accuse someone, because we didn't have anything to go off of really, because we hadn't lost any money to him. But I mean, I feel terrible to this day that we didn't say something, right?
So Rose,
other people.
I'm listening to your story, and you're talking about a lot of layers to this process and kind of all the things that were going on. I think it's important to share, as you did a little bit before, but maybe kind of summarize, what was it that you knew you had, like, trust your gut, or the red flag that was maybe kind of like the final straw, so to speak? Were there anything, like specific things in particular that really stood out to you, like, there's something not right here?
Yeah, I think the final straw was when he said he wouldn't go with PayPal goods and services.
Yeah.
He said he would. Then he changed his mind and he had like an excuse for why he can't do it. And he was like, let's do it through Cash App. And I was like, No way.
I messaged her right then. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No. Because I was going to get 2 sabers as well, because, the Excaliburs aren't being made anymore. So I wanted to get some as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so these were, so basically it's weapons that you're getting from them.
It was like
Rifles and sabers, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and mostly you communicated, how did you communicate with the seller?
Through Facebook Messenger.
Okay, so it was never a conversation, like there was never a phone call or like
No.
a voice text or anything like that. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's smart too that I know you pointed out too that you did communicate, but I think, also the fact that you went that extra step too to take a look at their profile more carefully. I know that I have done that, even sometimes if I'm just giving away something for free on Facebook Marketplace, just to make sure that, that the person you're dealing with also is, hopefully a safe person and not somebody who is, going to cause you other trouble besides, connecting with you, besides, buying or selling something as well.
There's so much more we want to get into talking with you both about this, but we're going to go to a commercial and then we'll be right back.
Celebrating its 25th anniversary, Guard Closet was founded as a consignment shop in 2000. Since then, it has grown to become your one-stop shop for the marching arts.
Do you need consignment uniforms and flags for your color guard, marching band, or drumline? We have thousands of sets of consignments in stock and ready to ship.
Do you need show design and custom choreography? Our designers have years of experience in the marching arts.
Do you need to sell your items and clear out your storage areas? We take in more than 600 sets of consignments each year and return hundreds of thousands of dollars to our consigners for their sales.
Do you need to have your students order shoes, gloves, and other equipment? We can set up a microsite for easy student ordering of a wide variety of items.
Do you need custom costumes or flags? We can help get you great designs from our team through top vendors like Show Day Designs.
Have you listened to our podcast On a Water Break? Weekly episodes and bonus content keep you entertained and informed with what's going on in the marching arts.
For over 25 years, Guard Closet has been here to help. Check us out at guardcloset.com or follow us on social media.
And we are back. Thanks for joining us back on the sidelines after that last rep. Grab your water bottles and let's get back to it. So coming back on the break, Christine and I were talking. So Christine, could you let the people know what we were talking about a little bit more about this on the side?
Sure. I mean, at this point, of course, Erica and Rose have related their story to us and their experience, their unfortunate experience with this. And one thing I think is good is the fact that others saw this happening online and others decided to respond in a helpful way to make sure that, hopefully this doesn't happen to other people like Erica and Rose so that they can have good experiences like many people have had buying and selling things from other groups or things like that. So I think that one thing I want to point out is around the time that this was occurring, recently, someone made sure that everyone knew in one of the more prominent color guard buy and sell groups is that the scammer had been removed from the group. And I think it's important to remember, of course, that all of the groups have admins to keep an eye on some of these things. Of course, sometimes always things slip through the cracks very quickly, and it can be hard to keep up with that. But, the person said that the scammer has been removed, that they're seeing that this type of thing is becoming more and more common, that there are more scammers sneaking their way into groups. And I not only see it in buy and sell groups, but I also see it in other groups that I'm a part of for different interests. People who are just trying to help each other professionally. Even I belong to a group also that is for, people who have a loved one with a particular medical condition. And, that sneaks in there as well. People trying to sell things or give, advice that's not, yeah, I mean, it's really, really crazy. So back to some more of the points that this person made, some kind of words of advice for everybody. If the seller claims they have had multiple offers fall through, 99% of the time it's a scam. So if they're in a rush to sell, it's likely a scam. So sometimes we see that we told us to be true. It's a really great deal, and we get very excited about it. And it's just there it is. If you ever have a buyer ask you for pictures of costumes or uniforms on a person, be very hesitant about sending those. More and more creepers are doing this on other pages, pageant pages, dance pages, etc., stealing the pictures, reposting the items as their own. So that's another really terrible thing. We all know many of our students at school go through cyber safety instruction and education about what you do with your photos online and how you can safeguard yourself from your photos, not, going places where you don't want them to go. And, that could happen also with your performers if you are trying to sell your costumes or something like that and you share a picture of your performers.
Yeah.
So, this person recommended perhaps covering the faces of the performers that are wearing the costumes or something like that. Don't pay friends and family at any point. Cash App is not protected. PayPal goods and services is the way to go to ensure your purchase is protected. If commenting has been turned off and they ask you to DM them, it's probably a scam. So, there's another one.
Yep.
And again, if it seems too good to be true, you know the rest. And I think really we can all admit that I believe all of us at some point somewhere have purchased something that turned out to be junk or, too good to be true, or it just never materialized.
Yeah. I've also talked with, Erica helped get me in touch with some of the victims of this scammer. And I talked with one of them, and rightly so. They were like, well, they didn't want to be on for and I said, that's okay. Can we just talk? So talking with one, and actually this wasn't even a guard director. This was a band booster parent. So they took it amongst themselves to do this. It was never, again, like how you both said that you never talked to them online. You never talked to them on the phone, but you just talked to them online and through Messenger. That's exactly what happened with them. And then they paid them through Apple Pay, which no one ever does that, like that. So that would be my first red flag. And after payment was received, they cut off all communication. There was no more communication. There was no tracking number that was given. There was no more like, hey, this is how long this is going to take to get to you. Nothing. That same post, that's the other thing too. And Christine, I think you were saying this. And I think that Erica and Rose were that same post with the weapons in one, on in two pictures. Is that what you saw as well? Okay. That one had come up again in another group under another name. So these people who are doing these scams are pretty much using the same post, changing and using like another profile that they have, hacked. So you have to be very vigilant when you're going through these.
So I think, as we kind of reach this point in the story, my question then for Erica and Rose is, I mean, what do you still feel like, do you two personally, do you two still feel comfortable purchasing or buying in the Facebook groups? I think personally it would be hard for me to go back and try again because I think I would be afraid to do that. I'm just curious to know what your feelings are at this point. Do you feel confident about doing it again?
I didn't have any issues. I mean, I've always had no issues before, and I think that's kind of why I felt so secure about it, because I've never had issues with it, the guard community is pretty small. Most people, we're all connected. Usually you can check pages and you'll see a lot of mutuals. So I'm not scared and I'm not put off, but I'm going to be,
Vigilant to
normally with
it.
scammers, you can tell, like, there are other signs, like, his punctuation. Normally, like, scammers, when they come in, like, I run a few groups myself, and I've seen tons of scammers. I'm really good at catching them, so I'm shocked he slipped through me. But his English was perfect. Like, he knew about the equipment, so I think he's in the community. Like, it really checked all the boxes, and, like, once he said, "Yeah, we can do goods and services," like, that was like, "Okay, as long as, like, it's protected, we're good." But I think from now on, I'll definitely be using a credit card at the very least, because I know that's got a lot more protections in it,
Mhm.
or nothing less than goods and services, either on PayPal or Business Venmo. That's another one that's got good protections as well. But I'm not gonna be doing Cash App, none of that other stuff ever, It's just no.
Rose, same question for you. Does this like make you not want to do it, or like does it give you pause in any way, shape, or form?
So I've actually made a purchase since then. I've made purchases through the Facebook groups many times and have never had an issue. And this, I really feel like this is an anomaly. And we were able to suss it out like in the same evening. Like, we had this back and forth with him. Erica and I talked about it and we decided not to go with him. So we were able to sort it out. But like Erica, I am doing a lot more with the last purchase I made. Looked into the school that the person said that they worked at to make sure that they were actually a staff member. Like, I was like really going beyond what I would normally do just to make sure that this was like a legitimate person from a legitimate school, that their band boosters was involved. But it was all green lights with the last transaction. Like, they couldn't do anything quickly because they also had to work with their band boosters. Like, that was the first green flag. Like, nothing happens quickly when you had to do a transaction. Like, if you're not going through your band boosters, like, I don't know how you're operating. Like,
Well, I mean, and before we get into this next segment, I just want to ask, because like you're gonna always have, there's always a guard director that's out there who's just starting out and they don't have a big budget, and you know what I mean. They stumble onto these pages to buy equipment. What are, I would say, three quick tips you could give them so they can safeguard themselves?
I say familiarize with the group, integrate with it. Get to know the admins, get to know the mods, get to know the main sellers. Usually repeat sellers are, they're usually pretty good. People aren't going to continue buying from them if they're going to scam. Usually, I mean, unless their page gets hacked, and that's another worry you have to worry about.
I would say just two things. One, look into the seller, poke around their page. If something feels wrong, go with your instinct. And two, PayPal goods and services will protect you. So you can get your money back. I think you get like 30 days or something. But if there's an issue, there's a way to get your money back through PayPal goods and services. So
These are all great, like honestly, and I know that's one way to do it too, but there's also another way to do it if you aren't going to Facebook groups, and that's to go to Guard Closet, right, Christine?
Yeah, how about that? So anyways, I think, the Facebook groups are a very, very good resource. They really are. And as we've said, in our conversation, there's a lot of positive things happening in the Facebook groups with people helping each other to find things and clearing out their areas and having a way to sell their items and also to get what they need. So there's a lot of positive things going on. I think it's important to remember, though, that that's not your only solution. If you need to sell things, there are businesses that will help you to do that. And especially in some cases, you have to remember, if you're going to sell the items yourself on a Facebook group, then you have to go through the process of listing the items clearly, making sure they're inventoried, making sure that they're ready with a consistent amount of information for the buyers all that sort of thing. You're the one who has to handle the transaction and possibly have a scammer buy from you as well. Okay. Remember the flip side of that. So, Erica and Rose were purchasers, but if you're selling, you can also get scammed as someone who's selling. So, businesses like Guard Closet can take that weight off your shoulders and take care of that for you. And then you don't have to deal with it. You don't have to store the items anymore. You don't have to worry about the transactions or possibly running into a scammer who's purchasing. And then, businesses like Guard Closet can just get that money back to you. And then you can continue on and focus on your rehearsals, focus on your design, focus on getting things done, and not have to worry about that.
Focus on them kids.
Yeah, but some organizations have the infrastructure also to sell their items on their own. They may have a large group of band parents that is willing to take that on. But in some smaller programs, there may not be a large group of band parents that's willing to take on that responsibility. And it sounds kind of easy, but it's not all that easy sometimes to inventory things and, send them out and get them out there and get them sold. So, we've been doing it for 25 years now, and I personally have been doing it for 15. So there are some, tricks. There's tricks to the trade, and we're really proud of the fact that we help schools all across the country and organizations all across the country with both buying and selling. So there's options out there. If you feel comfortable with the Facebook groups, that's great. If you need some extra assistance or you just don't want to deal with it, then let us deal with it and we'll take care of it. Yeah.
All right, we're going into the next segment now, and this is What Are We Doing?
What are we doing?
What are we doing?
All right, ladies. So this is a part of the show where we want to let loose a bit, maybe even a lot. It's your chance to rant about something in the marching arts that's going on that doesn't make sense, or maybe even a tradition that needs to go away, or maybe a habit that performers can't seem to break. Maybe it's something that you think needs to be happening. Like, why aren't we doing this more? So this is your moment to go ahead and call that out. It's all tongue in cheek, but it's all in good fun. So I'll say, Rose, what are we doing?
So I wanted to bring something that's kind of related to what we're talking about, just purchasing stuff. So what I hate, and I could rant on about this, is the lack of size inclusivity of dancewear, off-the-shelf dancewear. We have to buy, we can't pay for stuff to get designed for our team. We have to buy something that's off the shelf. Mm-hmm. And it's really difficult to find dancewear that fits all body shapes. And I feel like Color Guard really is, for the most part, is very inclusive of all body shapes, but it makes it really hard as an instructor when I have to try to find uniforms that are going to work for everyone, it's going to flatter everyone, and there's these limitations on the sizes. So anyway, I could rant on about this, but that's mine.
Yeah, what are we doing? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Erica, what are we doing?
Okay, so without sounding like a dinosaur, I wish we could just go back to the traditional marching band uniforms. I don't know if that's a hot take. Maybe it's, but especially with groups that are huge, where it's 200 kids on the floor, you got all these props. It can be really overwhelming, you got 200 kids performing plus the guard, 2 different costumes. You've got all these colorful props that are moving, backdrops, and I understand it's great for smaller groups, but sometimes less is more. Is let the kids do the work.
I feel like that would work with younger groups. Excuse me, not younger groups, smaller groups, just because of what you have. As long as it's done well, you know what I mean? As long as it's done well.
I feel like props can be used great, but they can be also too much. And there's another issue I think that's important that kind of brings me into is kind of classism in marching band. And I'm not ripping on the kids because all the kids work hard, it's not their fault. It's kind of sad to see, I mean, I feel like if all programs were able to afford the same things, like there'd be so many more opportunities, but I really don't know how to solve that, unfortunately. I wish I could, but it's just, it's frustrating.
Understandable. Christine, what are we doing?
I'm looking at the date and thinking about, our recording right now, but also that our episode here will come out in the next couple of days. And, a holiday is coming up. Okay. A holiday that often involves marching arts organizations, and that is Memorial Day. And I would like everybody in the marching arts and, in general to please, please, please remember what is the intent of Memorial Day, right? And if your group, whoever that may be, if it's your marching band, maybe if it's just an independent dance team, your color guard, whatever, has the opportunity to participate in a community event, to, and I'm going to say this very carefully here, observe Memorial Day. Observe Memorial Day. You need to take that seriously, and you need to be there. I get very disappointed when I hear, or see, online some discussions about, none of my kids are going to be there because they're all going away, or all kinds of things like this. Please, please, please remember, what is the intent of Memorial Day to begin with? And if you can take just that small amount of time out of your extended weekend to please remember why we observe Memorial Day and how your marching arts organization plays a very, very important role in that, in that observance. Keep that in mind, because if you don't, it could be, it's a big mistake, so to speak. It's very disrespectful. And, you need to remember the role that your marching arts organization plays in the greater community. So, yeah.
All right. With my what are we doing? Last week I did last week. I say last week and it feels it's just a couple days ago. But I did an episode and we were talking about how many spots are still open in DCI cores. Over 1,000 spots are still open in DCI cores. So what are we doing, supporting our kids that we have, our students that we have, to go forward and, take that spot with a drum corps? Fill it. Go see what you can do for the summer. So that's my what are we doing? Why are we not trying to fill up these spots? They need to be done.
Great job, everyone. Set your equipment down. Gush Go.
Okay, so now that we have gotten that all off our chest, it's time to bring some positive energy into the room with the Gush and Go. So this is our chance to shout out something that's happening in your life, the marching arts related or not. Maybe you're excited about a performance, a student success, a big life event, or just something cool you want to brag about. No negativity here, just pure, unfiltered hype. So who's got something they want to gush and go about? I'm going to go a little backwards this time. We're going to start with Erica. What do you want to gush and go about, Erica?
Well, it's kind of with me and Rose, actually. I mean, so yesterday we had our annual day where it's like we celebrate the town's history. There's a lot of vendors, tables, and stuff like that. Of course, my puppy just had to do that. Apologies. Let me let her out. Kit. Thank you. So basically, it's just a vendor event. We basically set up a table, brought some flags out, and we're just trying to recruit for the kids. And I thought it was a pretty good success. We were passing out pixie stick flags. We brought out some flags, some swings, a rifle, an arc. And the kids were just having fun, just playing with things, And I really want, like I said, we really want to start a youth program here just to kind of get the younger kids involved. So when they get to Rose, they're ready. She doesn't have to teach them drop spins or anything like that. They're ready to go, So that was really successful. And I mean, if Rose wants to talk about next week, that'd be cool.
Yeah, so we have a community spin. We find that it's not just the kids who are interested in color guard in our community. We have a lot of adults who are interested, who want to come and spin. So we're having a community spin event where we'll have an hour for kids, we'll have an hour for adults, and we're just gonna chill out and have fun and swing flags. And yeah, it's really exciting.
That's cool. Yeah, I've always heard about like, hey, well, I mean, most clinics that people do and put on are, for everyone, but like you don't really hear about a community event for anyone that wants to just come out and do it, even though, they're an adult and they.
Hey, it's called Gush Go, not Gush and Stay. Let's go.
We have a lot of retired people.
All right. Well, I want to thank everyone here for a great rehearsal this week. Thank you to our guest clinicians, Erica and Rose, this week. So tell us where they can find you on your socials, Rose.
Sure. I'm at Rose Crow. The O's are zeros. Rose Crow.
And where is that?
Instagram.
Okay. Erica, where can the people find you?
So I am just Eric Owens, ERICAOWENS from Maryland on Facebook. You can also find me on Instagram at URKUHH.
Cool. Awesome. Christine, it's always a pleasure to have you on. I feel like we don't do this much, but I love it when we do. And I've mentioned it so many times now. But it's been, I don't know, I get goosies thinking about it. I love that you wanted to come on. It was so cool.
Well, this is my jam. So, this is why I'm here.
And I thank you for that. All right. So if you have a question or a good topic you want to talk about, please email us at onawaterbreakpodcast@gmail.com or find us on social media and DM us if you want to be on the show. We even have a form you can fill out if you want to be a guest. We love having people on the podcast, just like how we got Rose and Erica. So you can check out the link. It's in our bio. You just click on join us. Or you could just take out your phone, make a video, and send that to us. You'll just find yourself on the podcast soon. One more thing. Don't forget, we have a YouTube channel. So go on there, subscribe, so you can see all of our lovely faces and our other shenanigans as we tell you about On a Water Break. Also, before you close out of your favorite podcast listening app, go subscribe, write us a review, and then share it with a friend. You can follow us on social media at On a Water Break, and we'll see you at rehearsal on the next water break.
The On a Water Break podcast was produced by Jeremy Williams and Christine Ream. The intro and outro music was produced by Josh Lyda. To learn more, visit lydamusic.com. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.